We're live.
It's 5:29. Well, we're gonna go ahead and get started. We'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Great. Father God, thank you for those elected officials that we have here and for their dedication to the city, and ask that how we go in this meeting this evening, that decisions they make may be for the benefit for the citizens of Huntingburg. These things we ask your son's name. Amen. So I'm going to ask for a motion to approve minutes. Make that motion.
I'll second.
We have first, second, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Aye, motion carries. Approval of claims.
I'll make a motion to approve the claims.
I'll second.
Got a first and second, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion carries. Tonight, we have Nathan Wagner here from Cash Wagner Associates. We've been working, several months now on the Safe Streets for All grant and putting the draft plan together. We had a good cross-section of citizens, that community that gave us input, including, we utilized school, fire department, police department, and a lot of people, I guess, to be able to give some input on the final plan. But if you want to present that, and I guess really tell them why we have this and what the advantages could be in the future.
Yeah, so President Biden's administration created the Safe Streets and Roads for All program under the Infrastructure Investment Jobs Act back in 21, I believe. And the main focus is try to redirect a lot of federal funds to safety and direct all road projects to more of a safety conscious objective. And the first part it's really a grant program. So we got a grant, or the city got a grant for funds to develop this plan. And that's the first step, is create this Safe Streets for All safety action plan. And once the plan's in place, you can go apply for more grants to do actual implementation projects. So I kind of think of it as community crossings project. That's probably what you're familiar with, where the state gives, kind of funnels the money through the state to give to you to spend locally. It's a grant program essentially, but you got to have an asset management plan, and you got to do PASER ratings in order to qualify for the community crossing. Same thing here. You got to have this safety action plan to identify deficiencies, what causes crashes, what are the major causes of crashes, what are your problem areas, and then once that's in place, you can go after more grants and it's not like a federal aid project where federal aid project may take 5, 6, 7 years to get the project funded, where this can be much faster.
Their community match.
There is, and I don't know if it changes based on the type of project, but it would be 10 or 20% match. But there's a lot of things that can fall under, the term safety. So and it's not just for vehicles, it's for all road users, pedestrians, bicyclists, ADA, mobility users, vehicles, trucks. So it's wide ranging. The number one cause of a lot of crashes, believe it or not, was animals and objects in roadways, and then failure to yield the right of ways. Some of the worst corridors, we included State Road 64 and 231 just because of mid-states and the potential that the city could end up with at least 231 for maintenance. But it involves citizens, so we included those roads. So 231, State Road 64, where your high incident corridors, along with Chestnut and 6th Street. Your main problem intersections with 231 were 14th Street, Sunset, 1st Street. Also with Chestnut and 14th, Chestnut and 6th. There's also was the proposed resolution passed out? Did that get in the packet? There's a resolution that needs to be part of this, which is
I
a
have-
commitment.
That should have been, yeah. Should have been in here. Let's see.
So one of the criteria of this plan would be, the city council passing a resolution, which effectively says it's the city's commitment to reduce traffic fatalities and maintain them at zero
So
and
show it
have a
is.
significant reduction in serious injuries.
So we'll probably have to do the resolution on the next one, it looks like.
Okay.
I didn't make it in the packet.
don't see it
here. Don't see it in here.
Okay.
No. You know, one thing that we looked at, you know, with all the intersections, also looked at those that were high speed, low speed crashes, because there were businesses that had a lot of accidents, but they were normally fender benders or.
Yeah.
It wasn't any physical damage to people, you know, persons.
Right. So we try to create 5 emphasis areas that need to be addressed. That's vulnerable road users, again, vehicles, pedestrians, bicyclists and the like. School bus safety. There was 4 main areas of school bus safety as far as near miss areas. In general intersections, trying to get pedestrians across safely, trying to prevent failure to yield right of ways, you know, following too close type thing. Corridor management, which includes speed, sight distance, those type of things, and then just improving on the overall culture of safety across the city and all the departments.
One of the things that we kind of instituted was we had a lot of people running past like the bus arms.
Mm-hmm.
So we put together a communication plan through our social media, school social media. Larry Fusler with transportation said it's way down this year.
Is it?
The number of complaints that they get, especially on 231, just are non-existent. That was the worst area of people going past the stop arms on the buses. And then, so education was a big piece of this too.
Yeah. And so a lot of this report is a result of, we looked at crash data, which, you know, you start putting crash data together and seeing where majority of your problems are, you can start identifying a lot of things. We had a steering committee, which included, you know, the police, the fire, the school resource, the mayor and the street superintendent. And then we had public social media campaigns with poll survey results. And so that's how we came up with the plan. Some of the survey results, the main areas of complaints were 14th Street, Sunset, and 231.
That'd be page 15 in your book.
First Street, Chestnut and 14th. The issues identified in those surveys were potholes and maintenance, rough roads, the lack of signals like you got for the train overpass. People were asking for more at the southeast and west sides of town. Speeding, lack of turn lanes, lack of sidewalks, too narrow roads, traffic flow near schools and pedestrian crossings. And then of course, the gaps in sidewalks throughout town. Trails, bike paths were also a high priority. And then some of the other areas identified through the crash reviews: falling too close, improper turning, distracted driving, ran off the road, failure to maintain lanes. I think that's all I've got.
I don't understand, you have NDOT involved in this too, is that correct? Or,
No, just a kind of a coordination type deal. They weren't really overly involved, no.
So if we go after grants and we get a grant because of this, how do you get implicate it? What are you gonna go first and how do you?
Well, the first thing would just be identify a project so it could be, let's say you identify half a dozen intersections that are dark and causing problems, you want to add streetlights. You can do one project that identifies, say, those 6 intersections, or
Yeah.
it could be adding the train lighting around, on the outskirts of town. It could be an actual road project that addresses whatever safety issue.
Page 28 is basically how this was laid out, Tim.
So identify, a project or the types of projects, then basically just apply for grants back to the feds to this Safe Streets for All.
Everything was discussed, some of really the only thing, we did have some meetings with NDOT regarding like Chestnut and Sixth Street and some of and ask them to even look at Phoenix, I think Jason's brought it up and I have too several times. I'm looking at the speed limit at Phoenix Drive and what we can do. Any semi that pulls out of Phoenix Drive is pulling in front of somebody.
Pretty much.
Because they can't pull out at a speed that at a 55-mile-an-hour speed or actually average speed, there's in reality it's probably closer to 60. Not enough you're gonna pull somebody over for a ticket, but it does make it rough for a semi pulling out there. Looking at how to they had a proposed at one time a turn lane, a perpetual turn lane going on Sixth Street from Main to Chestnut. How will that terminate at Chestnut? And will people just get in the turn lane and like
Go.
they do, and sometimes and stay in it the whole time and keep going? So they're reconfiguring that. It's probably going to lower. So that'll stop the updates to that probably about a year instead of this year. They'll do it next year. But we also had areas where we had cars hydroplaning, high water. So a lot of discussions came out of it. You may not see in the plan, but we've been able to take some action on and look at. And obviously, some of these things we can't do without state's help.
Skyline Drive and 64 considered.
I mean, yeah, and one of those is if we need to utilize some traffic calming devices, whether it be the signs like they put out on 231, because really there it's a matter of speed. It's not as dangerous as Phoenix is from that standpoint, but it's still an issue. And it's become an issue even when these trains back up. A lot of times we start having crashes at 14th Street. We have police, really investigating crashes a lot of times versus being able to really go out and direct traffic. Try and direct traffic at Style Line and at 64 at the speeds of people going through there becomes a dangerous situation too. So, yeah, those were talked about. And we had a bicyclist and a runner too on the board, on the group that gave some input about that.
Yeah, so those emphasis areas I talked about, they start on page 17, but there's some general ideas for strategy of how to address each of those emphasis areas. I don't think you want me to go through all those, but if you want to, I gave you a hard copy. I know you should have had a PDF email to you, but I gave you a hard copy. If you got questions about them or want something added, my card's in there. Feel free to call me or email me. But the goal is to have this thing adopted at the March 10th council meeting. And that would effectively close out this step with the action plan. And then you'd be ready to, whenever you identify a project, go after more grant funds. And it doesn't have to be a large project. You don't have to be several $100,000 or several million.
No,
It can be small.
it can be, according to this, it could be sidewalk, it could be a curb extension, it could be anything.
That ain't gonna do the safe.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is there any? There's something that, it alludes to in here, something about microbility. Is that a electric bicycle?
Be bicycles, it could be
Well, I
Segway,
mean,
it could
you
be
know.
Segways, it could be any,
Those things are stupid fast, some of them.
yeah.
And I can see that be a problem, you know?
It can be, for somebody that needs them, it can be an asset for them to need to get around, but it also can be a problem for pedestrians and if the sidewalks aren't wide enough and if they're going too fast.
Yeah, I've seen zip through town. I think we're all for the safety of all this
Big-
stuff. I think this is a great program to, initiate, to,
Yeah.
make aware of everybody what's going on, what we're trying to do.
Yeah. And it should be an easier way to get federal money.
I'm all for
Here's-
that.
Appears to be very comprehensive, all the stuff I've read in there.
Yeah.
Is well documented and if you've lived here any time at all, you know that that's an issue. Sight distances on hills and, you know,
Some of them are easy, it may just be more signage, lighting,
yeah, something like that.
just something that now we have the ability to go and address it and apply for funds.
Let's get some money to fix it.
Yeah, the vision triangle's a big one on some of these. and
There's a
those,
lot of those in town that have issues with, you know, when you pull up to a stop sign, can you see the way you're supposed to be able to see?
Yeah, you can't really see what you need to do.
Right. Nathan and I meet with, Aaron Stippich from the Federal Highway once a month with this project. She's basically our Federal Highway representative and she just makes sure that we're staying on track with where we're supposed to be in the timeline with it. And like Nathan said, I mean, the objective was to introduce it to you guys tonight, give you a month to look at it, think it over, and then at the March 10th meeting to sign that resolution. But that's basically the last step of this portion of the project or grant.
You got 30 days to make any changes that need to be made in there. Get your input. Option. Well, thank you, Nathan.
Good job on this.
Yeah, it's
Whoever
nice,
worked on
nice
this,
program.
This is a great idea. I was glad to see First Avenue and 231. That's a good one there.
It's a tough one to get out.
Yes, it is, especially with the school bus.
Yeah.
I know a guy who drives
First
one,
Avenue.
complains about that one all the
Main
time.
Street, that's,
Okay,
Oh.
next thing, we offered it up several months ago. I think it was back in August, I believe, that we presented a draft of the abandoned vacant building ordinance. And so tonight, we're asking for consideration of that ordinance. And you'll see it here in your scope. If you want to speak to that, Phil.
Well, yeah,
I-
the intent of the ordinance is, of course, there's a finding that vacant and abandoned buildings are a source of blight and they cause hazard to public health, safety and welfare. So we need some system of registering these properties and enforcing our codes against these properties. So this would establish the registration and abatement of vacant and abandoned buildings ordinance. Again, the purpose is to establish a program for ongoing identification and registration of these types of buildings and to establish the responsibility for the owners of those vacant buildings or properties. We define in the definitions an abandoned building as a building that has been vacant for at least 120 days and which is the subject of one or more unsafe building ordinance violations or minimum standards ordinance violations in our city code. And if that condition has continued for a period of 60 days, it is considered a vacant and abandoned building. A vacant building is simply a building which lacks the presence of human beings or human occupation who have the lawful right to be there for at least 120 days. If a vacant building is a subject of ordinance violations, it also becomes vacant and abandoned building. So if you're a vacant and abandoned building because there's ordinance violations, then you have to register the building. There's registration fee, annual registration fee for the building based upon the size and the use of the building. The registration includes appointing a property manager who has to live within at least 50 miles of the city of Huntingburg. They have to inspect the property every 30 days and provide, if requested by the code enforcement officer, provide their inspection reports showing that the property is compliant with all city ordinances governing maintenance. There are fines associated with it. I might go back, the registration fee for a vacant and abandoned 1 and 2 family residential property is $50 per year. Registration fee for dwelling units containing more than 2 dwelling units is $100 per year. And then if it's a non-residential building, such as a commercial building or industrial building, it's $250 for the first year, $375 for the second year, and $500 for the third and subsequent years. These fees are not intended to generate any kind of a profit-based revenue, but they're intended to help offset the code enforcement department's cost of enforcing these codes, as well as the fire department and police department's efforts in having to monitor these properties for safety and compliance with fire codes and our own property maintenance codes. It doesn't apply to properties that are vacant only because they're seasonally occupied. The quote snowbird homes, people that own homes that move to Florida during the winter, that doesn't apply to them, so long as their property is compliant in other respects. But that doesn't make them vacant just because they've locked up and moved temporarily away. There's penalties involved as well. If you fail to register or fail to comply with the ordinance, I think the fine, it's been some time since I've looked at this. Civil penalty is $500 per abandoned building per year. For every 90 days, if you're in violation for a period of 90 days, there could be a $500 fine for every 90 days, but not to exceed $5,000 per building per year. Again, the attempt is to identify buildings that are vacant and abandoned, to find the owners and to require those owners to register those buildings with necessary information, which would include the street address, the names of the owners, the names of all persons that hold any kind of interest in the property, like leases or even mortgage liens, a property manager, which could be the owner if they reside within 50 miles of the city, the name of their insurance company. The ordinance does require properties to carry insurance, liability and casualty insurance. And then also a written plan for maintenance and repair of the property if it's in violation of any of our codes.
Some of those things, is that we do have certain requirements on how if they do board up a window or whatever, that it is durable exterior grade materials and those type of things. So, and sometimes that happens. I mean, we have older buildings that are 130 years old down on 4th Street that have wood on the windows, but some of those are kept up nice and painted the bright colors and they're made of exterior grade areas. And if they could afford $5,000 to $6,000 in windows, those homeowners or those building owners probably replace all of them. I think this came back, and the reason I want to look at it, eventually, we want this to move into an area where we're also having some type of a landlord ordinance, so that I really call it probably a tenant's rights ordinance, where properties are maintained. This gives us an opportunity to look at those properties. Who are they? Where are they? But it also, we've been lucky in the city of Huntingburg that most of our properties, especially Fourth Street as an example, are locally. That isn't the case in some communities, and when the roofs leak, the buildings start collapsing, and there's a long history of that across Indiana, and especially in the southeastern portion, and that's where we borrowed some of these ideas of Rushville and Aurora and some of the communities that were facing that put similar ordinances in place. The 50-mile was a reason for that, every 30 days inspection, because some of these buildings are bought from people from the East Coast or the West Coast. They buy them and forget about them, pretty much. We haven't had that, but it could happen. We do have a couple like that that we're addressing, so.
How do you address something if somebody's in a nursing home or goes into it and hopefully they're gonna come back? They might be in there more than 90 days.
It doesn't have to have
Is it gonna-
reach two of the things to be
Yeah, in order-
vacant, but then also to be in violation.
Certainly, if it's vacant, they still have to maintain the property.
Right.
But in order to be required to the registration requirements and the fines, they have to be vacant and abandoned. And abandoned would be, they're vacant and they're guilty of a serious code violation, for more than 90 days. So, yeah, even if you're absent from the residence or the building, you're gonna have to appoint some kind of a property manager or someone to care for the building.
Okay.
You're not excused, just because you moved out or you're temporarily away. You still have to maintain your property or make some provision for the maintenance.
Be relative, a friend, a neighbor,
Sure.
somebody has to be designated.
Yeah, gotcha.
Can you break that 50-mile thing down again? I didn't quite catch all the parameters of that.
Well, it's just, if you're a vacant and abandoned building,
If you're both,
yep, you've got to register the building and you have to appoint a property manager. It could be, if you're the owner, it could be you, but you have to live within 50 miles of the city.
if you appoint that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or the manager you appoint has to be somebody that lives within 50 miles, because they have to inspect the property every 30 days and make a report to the code enforcement officer if the code enforcement officer requests a report concerning their compliance with the ordinance, the maintenance ordinances that they've been found to be in violation of.
Okay, that makes more sense. They have to be in both categories before it even applies.
That's right.
You know, I foresee this, and hopefully that some of these, we get a little stricter, maybe we go 90 days instead of 120, or we require more stringent inspections, whatever. There could be other requirements that we put into it, but right now, there's so many of these that we want to get it to a manageable point, control it, and then if we need to change some of this to make it even stricter than what it is presently, I think we can do that. 'Cause some of these are going to end up being court cases. Some of them are going to could become court cases, I should say. And maybe ongoing maintenance issues, but we have a tool now to do it. And once we have this be where we know who's vacant, who isn't, and we get everybody registered, it'll also help us be able to manage short-term rentals, be able to do really a lot of rental properties. And we have very few. We have some great landlords in this community. I'm not gonna throw out names, but we have some great ones, but we have a few bad apples we gotta deal with. And it isn't by no tent. In fact, the state of Indiana has certain restrictions on what you can do with landlords and how you manage that.
Yeah.
You know, in this room, we have people that are landlords, that are reputable landlords, so we understand that, but we also have people that live with no heat in the room, and the landlord's unwilling to do anything about it, so let's get rid of them.
Agree.
Mhm.
Does our code enforcement have the forms?
No,
available
this,
yet?
we have
Step it up.
No.
not been adopted yet. It's just
We
been for discussion.
we have started putting those together, so we have a couple of administrative people putting them together right
Okay.
now.
So how do we handle a commercial property that's possibly for lease or sale, that's vacant?
If it's vacant and abandoned, then
I-
it has to register. So again, if it's vacant for hundred and 20 days, which means there hasn't been human activity in the property for hundred and 20 days. And they've also been cited for a code violation and have not resolved it within 60 days of the site. Then they're an abandoned and vacant building and they have to register that building. They have to pay a registration fee. They have to appoint a property manager, a point of contact, and give us all the information that's required under under this ordinance. And they're subject to a continuing maintenance order that requires them to continue maintaining the property. They also have to show a plan for complying with the ordinance. So, and then they have to, I think they have to register every year, as I recall, and the fee goes up every year for commercial industrial properties.
Yeah.
But if it's just vacant, but it's not violating any codes, it doesn't require registration.
Okay.
It doesn't
If it's
apply.
being maintained, I think it's
Right.
just the ones that are not being maintained
But
that
they
are,
fall
becoming
completely out, they
dilapidated,
they
yeah.
fall completely out of compliance and they're cited for it, then we start
Right.
having conversations. Yep. Yeah.
Yeah, sometimes we see
Comes
these
to
code
mind.
violations, we don't know who to call.
Comes to mind.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, yes. Okay, so this is first reading or?
Well, I don't really have it. I have the language of the ordinance. I don't have it in an ordinance form.
That's what I
yet.
thought.
Wasn't sure if there's gonna be any changes to it or not, but I could bring it back your next meeting in an actual ordinance form. I've drafted it into a code form that it just would appear in our code book.
Yes.
So we need to put the preambles and the title of
Okay.
the ordinance and the preambles and the signature page and
Okay.
all that together. If you
And
wanna
it
pursue
does, it does allow it does allow some, flexibility, for this code enforcement department. They has some 4 or 5 things here that apply that good faith efforts and all that. And to me, it seems reasonably fair.
I think it seems reasonable too, the parameter, or like the timelines and the different
Yeah,
requirements. It's just because a building is vacant, it's not like we're trying to.
no, this
get
is
the- but
about,
it's like if it's.
we're just
a
trying to get
vacant
things
and-
back up to,
yeah. Yeah,
up the code or whatever and make them safe or whatever. Yeah,
I think we all know what those buildings are, so.
yeah.
All right.
I might point out, it does allow an owner of a vacant building to voluntarily register their building without having to pay a fee. You know, that way we have a contact. If we find something's wrong, we'll contact the owner or the manager and they'll know there's a problem.
Yeah.
But they're not required, if it's just vacant, you're not required to register.
And it does,
may.
forego the fee
Yep.
if you voluntarily do it.
We would like to, for vacant buildings, owners of vacant buildings to register the property. We want to know what's going on these properties and who to contact if a problem does come up. But if they're vacant and abandoned, we definitely going to require registration.
And our police department can utilize that information too, to, if they see suspicious activity, to call that person, should that person be there or not. Those type of conversations, so.
All right.
I think
Okay.
it's good.
I'll bring it back as an
Good.
ordinance.
Looking forward to it.
Yep.
Thank you.
You have anything, Phil?
I think that's all I have, isn't it?
I didn't have anything on there.
Okay, good.
Clerk Treasurer Thomas Stipple.
I have nothing.
We got some citizens here, any citizens items? If you want to speak, we ask that you come to the podium, state your name and speak clearly, so people that are viewing this and we record these meetings also, so people that are watching from home can be able to hear you.
I've never been accused of speaking clearly.
I know you.
Oh, wow.
John Kaltenbacher from Town of Holland.
Good job.
I just wanted to let you guys know that we did get some answers from AES, the questions from our December 3rd meeting from them and then also did a yes or no questionnaire to them about how it's going to affect the ratepayers in DuBois County. So if you're curious about it, it's actually on our Facebook page, the Holland Facebook page. It's pinned there. That way it doesn't disappear on you guys. So if you guys want to look at it, I do have a copy here in my hand if you want to see it, or whatever you want to do there. Second thing is, do we have a meeting date for the BZA yet?
We're meeting with our attorney Monday. We should be able to hit the next one.
I'm
March,
not sure, March.
Yeah, 20,
Sure the date is.
let me pull.
Are you
it
guys
from
just
here.
gonna post that on your
Yeah,
your
we'll
page?
post it out there.
Okay. Okay.
Tinley post that, won't she?
Yeah,
It'll always be out there.
yeah, we'll look at it. It's
Okay.
that, it's March anyway. Yeah, just so everybody knows, we have entered into an agreement, with an attorney group, Jackson Kelly out of, they're out of Lexington, Evansville, to be able to give direction to our elected officials, our board members and
Mhm.
stuff on decisions that they make regarding this. They do have information that's been brought up in meetings, things you brought to us, things that, the AES attorneys have sent to us. So they have everything. They've given us some direction for the BZA. I've requested even more information. I'd like for him to help educate, give information to our council members on what proper things they can and can't do,
Yeah.
and myself.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Included
Good.
and everything,
Yeah.
to make sure that whatever we do
Yeah.
is legal and proper, and
Don't get you guys in trouble.
yeah, we're
That's-
able to, we got about 5-page report today, and, from Joshua Claiborne with Jackson Kelly today, so.
Okay.
He's very, he's worked with other counties on developing,
Spencer County?
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yep.
We try not to mention names, but they.
I'm sorry.
They do.
I
they
retract
do
my
that.
last statement.
No, they are there. And
Well, it's
he's
stricken
very
from the record.
familiar with the situation and
Yeah.
well versed. The other positive thing is that, they're a larger firm that have ability, to draw from the knowledge of
Mhm.
their other attorneys.
Yep.
And get varied opinions, so.
There, will Paul be back to work then? I think he's gonna have some.
What's
surgery.
that?
Will Paul be back to work then? I think he's gonna have some surgeries.
Yeah, no, he won't be back by then, but I'll have to, sit in, so we got it. March 16th is the surgery.
Okay, well, that's all I got. Thanks, guys. So.
Thanks,
if you-
John.
Again, if you want to
All
say
right, thank
something.
you, John. I know some of you have been in to talk to Paul, and he appreciates that, and we share that information back and forth, so. Once a
We'll bring
Marine,
a box
always
of
a
crayons.
Marine.
So, Dave Duncan. So,
I did.
I just wanted to update you on a little bit of information. I've been doing a little digging into the Indiana Department of Homeland Security process of vetting the BESs. And this kind of goes back to what I'd said at an earlier meeting. But anyway, I submitted an APRA request, which is the Access to Public Records Act in Indiana. It's kind of like a FOIA request for any information pertaining to a BESS and do what's kind of, I didn't even mention Crossfire as any BES. So I got it back. All the documentation is dated in 2023. It's all listed as Light Source BP. AES is not listed anywhere in it. And it all states a Tesla BESS system, which is not what they're putting in now. So I got curious. So I called the Indiana Department of Homeland Security back. I'll talk to Aaron Hoff up there. I said, hey, dude, this company doesn't own anymore. This is not the battery they're putting in. Wouldn't AES have to put a new permit request in or a review? Yeah. And while I was on the phone, he looked at it and he said, yep, they put it in. I released it. They don't prove anything. They just make sure they meet the fire code, and that's it. That's all the Homeland Security does. So that brings me back to my point on they had to go resubmit a application for the new system with the Department of Homeland Security. They had to submit a new road permit with the county commissioners because it's AES, not Light Source. So it goes back to my point I made earlier. Does Lights or AES have to go through the full permits process here again too? And here's another reason I'm asking that, okay?
That's what we're gonna cover.
Right. I just want to give you information, what I found. In the IURC documents, the Indiana Utility Regulatory Commission, AES states the 85 megawatt solar field, which is true. And they state they're going to put in a 340 megawatt hour battery system. They're actually putting a 515 megawatt hour battery system in, okay? That's 175 megawatt hours more. That means about 30 30 containers more than what they need for 340.
Well, we can say
So-
is that any permit for construction, we still go back to what's in place now or what was in place then. Our technical review on that is basically that they're not in floodplains and that they're meeting setbacks.
Yeah, I understand. And gets.
Because we don't do engineering on that, you know, our ordinances and correct me if I'm wrong here, Phil, don't require us to ask for other permits other than through IDEM. They have to
Right,
have their
right. And,
IDEM.
right, I understand totally. And what I'm getting at is they have
Maybe they should.
30 more battery containers than they need for 340 mega. That's 30 more containers of hazardous chemicals.
Yeah.
And they're in a floodplain, or could be.
Yeah.
Definitely. So that, there any drainage studies they did before, any floodplain studies they did before? Was it based on 340 megawatt hour batteries or what they're putting in?
Exception they had to apply for is being the floodplain. That was turned down. in the
I
application.
understand you guys don't have any authority over the BES. I'm just educating you, okay? I'm trying to give you more information, okay?
Absolutely.
What they say and what they do, they don't jive. All right, okay, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Dave. I did talk to Ms. Gogol today for a while. We had a nice conversation, so we're trying to stay. You and I talk, you know, and we do, and I spoke to 3 elected officials yesterday. And we met at the EMA, you know, and asked what direction was from the county, and Tom Thacker was there because he's on the EMA board for Holland, so there's good representation there. It's not being it's taking up a lot of people's minds right now of what to do, where to go, and so we're that's where I'll leave it. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Any council items?
I don't want to publicly acknowledge the street department for their efforts during the snowstorm. We said something to him when he was here earlier, but they did an excellent job. And we applaud their efforts. It was unusual amount of snow, and the timing was poor. It was weekend, and but they did a really good job.
We had several people from the other departments involved, and I think what was good was, you know, we had, of course, all of our drivers have their CDLs. Some of them had experience with our street department or other community street departments and plowing. All those people were brought together in a meeting. Jason took charge of the situation. He treated them as his own employees, and I went out and rode with them a little bit, and they loved it. They pushing snow and spreading salt seems to be something they really enjoy, and
They do.
Did a good job.
they ran several hours. You know, we stopped at 11 o'clock on Sunday night and picked back up at 4 a.m. on Monday with spreading salt and sand, and then starting plowing again at 7. We waited till Tuesday because of the amount of snow and other things, but our Parks Department, our wastewater department, we did go out and rent 1 skid loader, and we had 10 trucks hauling snow for 3 days, you know,
Yeah.
off those areas where they had to go. So, they all did a heck of a job, and it was, you know, a lot of employees work, but you know, they needed the leadership of the street department to get it done. So,
Can we get any FEMA money off of that?
our costs at a minimum are just the street department right now, we've calculated about 57,000 extra to do that over what it would be with a normal store. But that doesn't include the other department salaries. FEMA, the county has to hit a minimum of 212,000 qualify. We blew that out of the water.
That should be no problem.
I think right now, we're at about 450, but it's gonna go, ours would probably be double what we turned in. We just wanna make sure we have to meet it. Now, the other thing that happens is we all meet our maximum, but if the federal allocation is less than what the state calculates, it isn't just an economic impact. We have to show that there were safety impacts. There were other things that were, you know, you hate to say it, but They're also looking to see how many accidents and how many people got killed and hurt, you know? It's, feds look at, they have calculations, but once if they make the calculation to the state of Indiana, it could be prorated based upon. So if there's $40 million in claims and we only get 30 million, everybody probably with 75% of what they asked for. So answer is, we don't know.
That's what it sounds like.
I know, I've
We,
been involved.
we
We're
expect
looking-
it.
We're looking for it, but it ain't, we're not sure if it's coming.
FEMA, the forms have been, communication's been great, you know, with the FEMA forms, you know, we do have to put the type of truck and the size of truck. It tells us it's worth $85 an hour, 65. There's a calculation with that, along with the salaries are all figured at overtime because that put everybody into overtime. And then we have to calculate the benefits that go along with it, so. We're in the middle of, running all that, but we'll see.
Takes time.
Yeah.
Well, they did a good job. I gotta
They
say.
did a great job.
Great job.
Any other items?
Motion to adjourn.
I'll
I was gonna
second.
say, can we cover number 10 here? All right, we have first and a second on adjournment. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Our motion carries. Thank you.
We're out of here.
Adjourn at,
One of
6:16.
these days.
One of these days, I'm gonna get it.
Stay.
I'm gonna get there one of these days, I promise.